In this video, we're going to take a deep look into inflation. I'm also going to announce the start of the gold coin contest. The voting begins at the end of this video. Also, I want to talk to you a little bit about my own personal trade. I made an options call trade today, kind of time sensitive. I'll tell you a little bit about it, but that's going to be mostly reserved for subscribers of peterleeds.com. Speaking of which, you guys are going to see my whole portfolio soon. I'll get to it. Nothing we say here is intended as personalized trading advice for you. On behalf of myself and the entire Peter Leeds team, we love you guys. We do this for you. We do this because of you. That's a verifiable fact. Please subscribe to the channel, share the videos, and get to know us. We're going to help you guys out. This is an article from CNBC that I want to go through with you because it really touches on a lot of important points. It came out yesterday. It says inflation rose 9.1% in June, more even than expected. And the reason I'm going to take you through this article, you might have even read it yourself, certain things I'm going to call out, things that I thought are a little bit more important and the way to look at certain things as well. They say that the costs are increasing on gasoline, which you already knew, which is already starting to calm down a little bit, groceries, rent, and dental care. So if you want to drive to the dentist, all of that's going to cost you a lot more. And also the most important thing, the most relevant to you, as if that wasn't relevant to you, but this is relevant to you. Adjusted for inflation, workers' hourly wages fell 1% during the month and are down 3.6% from a year ago. So a year ago, you were making 3.6% more in terms of being able to pay for your cost of life than you are right now. A lot of this is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and I want to call out certain things here that I've highlighted. The cost of living soared 9.1% from a year ago, which marked another month of the fastest pace for inflation going back to December 1981. And they exclude what they consider to be volatile food and energy prices from the core CPI reading, and they're saying that it came in at 5.9%. And it goes on to say, though, this is very important, core inflation peaked at 6.5% in March and has been nudging down since. And you might wonder, how can I say inflation is going to come down when just about everybody is saying it's going to go a lot higher? A lot of people that I respect a lot are saying it's going to go a lot higher, and I'm really hoping they're right. I'm kind of rooting for them, even if it means that I'm not correct in what I'm saying here. But listen to this. This is very important. This quote from this article. This is from Robert Frick, corporate economist at Navy Federal Credit Union. And he says CPI delivered another shock, and as painful as June's higher number is, equally as bad is the broadening sources of inflation. I always like to look at the sub-metrics, so to speak. The number of things that are inflating is expanding. That's not a good sign. You can point to fuel, you can point to chip shortages causing a lot of inflation, price inflation in automobiles. But when it starts broadening out over the whole economy, that can be problematic. That can be a warning sign. And I should say that I'm always talking about consumer price inflation, not monetary supply expansion and contraction. I'm talking about how much you're paying for stuff you see in the grocery store shelves. Though the CPI spike is led by energy and food prices, which are largely global problems, prices continue to mount for domestic goods and services from shelter to autos to apparel. And it goes on to say the inflation reading could push the Federal Reserve into an even more aggressive position. I think that it already has. They're even talking about in the July 26th, 27th meeting that they may raise the interest rates by an entire 1 percentage point. Energy prices surged 7.5% on the month, and we're up 41.6% on a 12-month basis. And I want to say something about that. I always tell you, for example, you look at a balance sheet, you look at the quarterly statement. That's the most recent snapshot of a company's financial position. They're talking about looking at it annually, and then they're talking about monthly. Watch the monthly changes. Everything went around 2%. You remember that the Federal Reserve trying to get to 2%. They couldn't quite do it. They finally blew through that and got to 8, 9, 10% now. But it's now at that level. So everything compared to a year ago is going to be about 8% lower. And it's going to seem alarming until we work our way through all of this. We're at a higher level now, and the inflation rate is actually trading sideways. It's going up a little bit, going down a little bit. It's not spiking as if when you look at a year ago, you're like, oh my goodness, it went up 10%. It's not going up 10% again this year. It's now trying to find its footing and decide if it's going to go lower, like I'm telling you it will, if there's a global financial crisis that I'm expecting, such as an entire depression, the greatest depression the world's ever seen, and I think it's going to last about 10 years. And I don't mean to depress you. I'll cheer you up in a minute. We're going to get to all the entries to the gold coin contest. But first, let me just finish off this article. It's very important. So I was saying energy went up 7.5% on the month, up 41.6% on the year. Only watch the monthly because that's going to give you a better idea. The food index increased 1%, while shelter costs, which make up about 1/3 of the CPI, rose 0.6% for the month and were up 5.6% annually. They say that much of the increases in inflation came from gasoline prices, which increased 11.2% on the month, just shy of 60% for the 12-month period. Electricity costs up 1.7% and 13.7% respectively. New and used vehicle prices posted respective monthly gains of 0.7%, and annually that works out to 1.6%. So nothing alarming, but there are some signs of lowering inflation, such as for airline tickets. Right now, they dropped 1.8% in June. They dropped 34% year over year. The meat, poultry, fish, and eggs category also dropped 0.4% for the month, but was up 11.7% annually. But here's the darkest news in all of this, is that the inflation-adjusted incomes based on average hourly earnings fell 1% for the month and were down 3.6% from a year ago, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They go on to talk about multiple factors that are causing inflation, clogged supply chains, trillions of dollars in stimulus spending, which has made consumers both flush with cash and confronted with the highest prices seen since the early days of the Reagan administration. The central bank is expected to continue hiking until inflation comes closer to its 2% long-run target. That 2% target is asinine. It's ridiculous. That's just how much they're saying they're going to devalue the currency every year, so it's easier for them to pay off their bills and pay off their debts. President Joe Biden called on gas station owners to lower their prices. That is an absolute overreach, and it's a misunderstanding of capitalism. I tell you guys, you slap capitalism in the face, it slaps you back. That's what's going to happen when you do things like that. When you force companies to share their profits if they're starting to make profits in the guise of saying it's easier for the consumers, but when those same corporations are not doing so well, it's not like they're giving them handouts. They're only punishing them when they're successful. It's like when you make more money, you pay more tax. If you make less money, you pay less tax. That's just an extension of a system which punishes productivity and rewards the lack of productivity. Biden says tackling inflation is his top priority, but then it goes on in this article to say that there is some reason to think that the July inflation numbers will be cool. There's actually a lot of reasons. A lot of things are deflating right now. The value of houses, stocks are coming down, cryptocurrencies are coming down, energy is cooling off a little bit. And when people are making less money and being able to spend less money because of inflation, and they're making less at the same time, they will spend less. And when you spend less, that's a counter-inflationary force. Gasoline prices have come down from their June peak, a 4.7% drop for the month, the Energy Information Administration says. Wheat futures have fallen 8% since July 1st, while soybeans are down 6% and corn, which is in everything, forget Dr. Copper, corn is in everything, every food, it's down 6.6% since July 1st. And if you're a subscriber, I'll send you the stock trade I made today, the short-term naked call option. And soon you're going to see my entire portfolio as well. I'll get to that very shortly. So my options trade, and do not trade options ever. It's not what you think it is. It's a really brutal game. But I made an options trade today, a short-term call option in a gold mining company. And all the details I'll send to subscribers. But this is a very short-term, taking advantage of a moment kind of trade today. If they're going to let something trade that low, then I'm going to buy some call options on it. This is a gold mining company, and you've seen the price of gold crater yesterday, today. It's getting out of control, ridiculous. And every time you buy something that is so unloved, it always works out in the longer term. Okay, here's round 1 of 2 to cull down the number of entries we got to the second Peter Leeds gold coin contest. On screen right now, you're going to see every entry that we've got with the number on the photo or beneath the photo, and that is how you vote for each one. And the way we're doing it is in phase 1 here, we're going to just call down a lot of the ones that don't get a lot of votes so that we can get down to about 10 or 15 of what will be the top tier, which then everybody votes on. And we're going to run it for 1 week, this first round of voting, to just eliminate a whole bunch of the pictures so that then we have just fewer photos to choose between. But from this moment right now, this exact second, 7 days, 7 full days, 24-hour days, you can vote. And the only way to vote, and this is why I said that I needed to talk to Roman and Tammy before I started talking on camera about all this stuff. And I told her, I said, they're either going to phone you or they're going to email you. She says, no, all email. Do it all by email. So you can't phone Tammy with your votes. She'll just tell you to email it. Tammy@peterleeds.com. Send your votes to her. But everybody gets 2 votes. And don't make 1 vote because then we're not going to count your entry. I know most people will vote for their own photo. But having a second vote will also be a more telling result from all the votes that come in. So we can see who to get rid of and who to keep. And the 2 different choices for this first round, there's no weight to it. It's not as if that's my main selection and my other selection, or that's worth more than the other. Every vote is equal to every vote. So you can vote for 2 photos, and you should vote for 2 photos if you're going to be voting on this photo contest. The only way to do it is through the email to Tammy. And the grand prize is going to be a 4/9 pure gold coin. Pure gold. We're going to give away 1 copy of the Peter Leeds Academy, which is just me talking on video and a few multiple choice questions, a couple of materials that are going to really help you learn how a company works and how you can tell what a company is worth. A lot of fundamental analysis. All aspects of that is in the Peter Leeds Academy. And then we also have the Peter Leeds Trading Chart course, the 33 Profit Patterns course that is going to help you take advantage of the psychology of investors so that you can find short-term moves in the stock price. And of course, we'll give away a copy of the Peter Leeds app, digital copy of Upthinking, the book by Peter Leeds, Simply Get More. And after we see what kind of votes come in and we get rid of a lot of the secondary photos and we just have the main 10 or 15 in the final round, that's when we all vote on who is going to be worthy of the grand prize, or the Peter Leeds Academy, or the Peter Leeds Trading Chart course, or the Peter Leeds app, or the digital copy of the book by Peter Leeds, Upthinking, Simply Get More. We'll even give away 1-year subscription to the world famous peterleeds.com newsletter, which has subscribers on 6 different continents. And this is running a little bit long here, so just bear with me. We're almost done getting through all of these. And once all the voting is done, and these are in approximately the order I received them in, give or take. They're not perfectly, but once all the voting's in and done, then I'm finally going to be able to comment on some of these photos. I have something to say about just about every single one of them, but I can't say anything at all yet because that might affect how people vote. Even the order, even every one of these, I have to leave it on screen for approximately the same amount of time so that no one can complain that they didn't get an equal shot at things. But remember, this is just round 1. We're going to do round 1 and then it goes into round 2. And we're just going to be choosing among all of the photos that rose to the top after we eliminated and called out the majority of them. Nothing we say here is intended as personalized trading advice for you. On behalf of myself and the entire Peter Leeds team, we love you guys. We do this for you. We do this because of you.